Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 for this news report today. It's Monday, March 18th, 2013. I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and on YouTube, my channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. You can check out the headlines and links. They'll all be in the order that they're presented in YouTube's video description, unless I have technical issues. Alright, the first article I have is Feds swarm Metra train after detecting nuclear risk. Said it was stunning for those who watched Thursday night as federal agents investigated a possible nuclear threat at Chicago's Ogilvy Transportation Center. And this is weird because we were just talking about this. This was one of the themes that I covered on Friday about nuclear and radiation detectors and drones, right? We just covered drones to be deployed as nuclear fallout detectors that can monitor airborne radiation using drones without endangering human flight crews, right? And then here comes this. So I just think about these guys, all ready for this. I mean, totally militarized, have all the funding, and, it's probably their own agency, their own department that calls in this crap so they can go out there and act like heroes and do their little exercise, their hot exercise. It says here the photojournalist happened to be on the scene using a cell phone camera to record agents in action. It says it looks into what agents were looking for and what they found. Sources say the agents were members of the elite TSA Viper team. Again, we were just talking about DHS putting up radiation detectors in ports and in subways. They were carrying handheld nuclear detection devices that picked up a reading. Of course, it gets the people acclimated. Ooh, look at that. They're keeping us safe. They're created in 2004 in the bombing, the false flag bombing in Madrid, Spain, to protect U.S. transportation and its human resources. Said, I had no idea I was the center of the activity, said a Chicago lawyer. Says the federal officers narrowed the trouble to the area where he was sitting. They searched for a person or a bag that was a potential nuclear threat. And look at this. Little did he know a nuclear stress test he had at a hospital earlier in the day had set off silent alarms and sent security scurrying. Not sure why someone would want to actually get one of these stress tests, but it says the test can leave patients emitting radiation for some time. He says he was satisfied with the way the authorities acted, knowing there are people on the lookout for this type of thing, and was pleased with the way officers and passengers behaved. So there you go, nice little psyop, complete and a success. Pakistan, I'm just theorizing here, but he could have been part of the exercise, you know what I'm saying? Pakistan pushes global ban on unilateral drone strikes. Foreign Ministry warns strikes on other nations a dangerous precedent. Pakistan's Foreign Ministry is reporting that it is pushing for a global ban on unilateral drone strikes against sovereign nations, something it hopes to secure support for at the United Nations. Two things I saw in the news cycle today was that Pakistan was saying that Pakistan and Egypt should work together to end the crisis or the violence in Syria. So I don't know, because I think they're both, they have these puppet regimes in there. But also, so are they acting as sovereign nations, or are they just doing what Russia and them are doing? Oh, we need to sit down, we need to have Assad step down, and basically just all fulfilling, like the terrorists are, which is regime change per the Brookings Institute policy. The other article on Pakistan I saw was that it was the first term, I don't know if it's ever, but at least in a long time, in decades, that Pakistan went a full term without having any coups, military coups. So who knows? The U.S. has launched hundreds of drone attacks against Pakistan over the past several years, killing thousands of people, including in Yemen, and now with an eye towards the skies across Africa. While such a ban wouldn't apply to the internal use of drones for military strikes, nor apparently on their use in ongoing wars, it seeks to halt the use, at present exclusively by the United States, of combat drones to launch attacks on nations that it isn't at war with, which is why they do CIA strikes, assassination strikes, but now they're actually trying to move that into military drone strikes. So who knows what they're trying to do there. Oregon company to sell drone defense technology to public. The company says it won't knock drones down, but it will stop them from completing their mission. So they said there won't be or involve any jamming of any kind, They also said we're not going to be countering predator drones that are shooting cruise missiles, but we're talking about local law enforcement drones and commercial ones that might be used for spying. It's interesting too, just a last note, they bring up the thing that brought it home was basically Senator Rand Paul doing the filibuster. This of course makes him controlled opposition. We know that he's controlled opposition, at least I know. And what do? Well, you do this. You have your mainstream media attack your controlled opposition by saying Wall Street Journal attacks Rand Paul filibuster. So they got a lot of conservatives duped, and that's why you'll see stuff like this. Online poll, Rand Paul, the conservative pick for president in 2016. And guess what? Ron Paul's daddy built up a nice little base for him. So, press release says Carnegie Mellon's human-scale CHIMP robot has 4 limbs and moves on treads like a tank. The rubberized tracks could make CHIMP a champ in DARPA Robotics Challenge. They like to have these little contests and cute little games. A human-sized robot that moves not by walking but at rubberized tracks on the extremities of each of its 4 limbs. And just think they could add a little radiation feature for an extra $50 per unit. It can detect radiation. Oh, and it can have the feature where it can consume biological materials, including humans, as an energy source. It'd be great. The greatest part is that you'll be paying for all of it. The internet is a surveillance state. The internet, again, you'll be paying for it. The overpriced, jacked up internet where they slow down your bandwidth speeds after a couple months. And if you don't talk about the right things, they also scale down your speeds as well. And you have, quote, technical issues. But you pay for that too. And it's another form of surveillance. The internet is a surveillance state, whether we admit it to ourselves or not, and whether we like it or not, we're being tracked all the time. This is from CNN. This is, of course, engineer consent. They're engineering people's consent to just take it and deal with it. Facebook does the same. It even tracks non-Facebook users. When you leave Facebook, it tracks all your activity after that. Apple tracks us on our iPhones and iPads. One reporter used a tool called Collusion to track who is tracking him. 105 companies tracked his internet use during one 36-hour period. Everything we do now involves computers, and computers produce data as a natural byproduct. Everything is being saved correlated. Many big data companies make money by building up intimate profiles of our lives from a variety of sources, including hotel stays, your purchasing habits. There's a record of your movements from closed-circuit TVs. Says all of us being watched all the time, and that's data being stored forever. This is what a surveillance state looks like, and it's efficient beyond the wildest dreams of George Orwell. Carnegie Mellon and NSA seek high school hackers. And this is, of course, in the Associated Press. And you'll see stuff like this, and you have to wonder, it's like, okay, you'll see this in the movies a lot, where they'll be like, ooh, we got to take these, government's got to go to the, like kind of like in Die Hard, government, Bruce Willis got to go to the hackers, got to go to the bad guys, right? The bad guys got to go in them and look for help. So it's like, okay, well, if this is illegal and they shouldn't be doing it, then why would you be going to quote, criminals for help? Well, they do with terrorists, so it makes sense. It says, board with classes, Carnegie Mellon and one of the government's top spy agencies want to interest high school students in the game of computer hacking, right? The game of computer hacking. Well, it's not a game if you do it and the government comes and slaps you with a federal lawsuit and throws your ass in jail. It's not a game then, is it? But no, these video games gets people, the future, ready to be drone operators and to get into this stuff so you can go work for them. Just like DARPA, they make it into a nice, cute little game to get you in. The free online high school hacking competition like DARPA is scheduled to run from April 26th to May 6th. They're looking for cyber warriors. They said the game is designed to be fun and challenging. Federal judge finds national security letters unconstitutional and bans them from wired ultra-secret national security letters that come with a gag order on the recipient are unconstitutional. Impingement on free speech, a federal judge in California ruled on Friday. He ordered the government to stop issuing the so-called NSLs across the board in a stunning defeat for the Obama administration's surveillance practices. Also ordered the government to cease enforcing the gag provision in any other cases. The U.S. intelligence agency wants to know how to use alternate reality gaming to bolster research. Can alternate reality gaming improve national intelligence gathering initiatives? The researchers at the government's high-risk payoff research group, Intelligence Advance IARPA want to know how alternate reality environments such as games in particular can help it develop high-quality behavioral and psychological research in near-world contexts. Well, why would they want to do that? For predictive, being able to have basically pre-crime and predict people, to build up algorithms and databases like we were just talking about, your digital profile, your digital DNA. Because eventually they'll make it illegal. When the system is so efficient, they could say, see, you know, he was going to do this. We better just go ahead and arrest him now. And if you get people scared enough, they'll do it. They'll allow it through engineer consent. Heather Hayes arrested after allegedly attacking boyfriend Eric Zuber for choosing Xbox over sex. Says he's missing two big things in her life, sex and pants, but she has something no one else can take from her, an arrest record. She was arrested at a convenience store for allegedly attacking her boyfriend, who spent the previous 2 days playing Xbox with his friends rather than having sex with her. Mobile wallet technology raises privacy and security concerns. Says your smartphone already serves as a portable office, media player, newspaper, GPS to see where you are, camera and social network hub, along with storing all of your personal information. Now it can replace your wallet too, which is probably the whole point, right? We've been seeing this and hearing this for a while now. No more fumbling for credit cards or digging through your pockets for loose change. Technology already exists to let you buy a grand soy latte through your phone, simply by saying your name out loud at the register. Kind of in line with Singularity in that privacy advocates worry the emergence of mobile wallet technology will leave consumers more vulnerable than ever to identity theft and invasive data collection. Well, don't use them, right? Don't use them. But unfortunately, like this article, again, that is engineer consent propaganda, is what? It's going to get the majority of people onto this, the voluntary consent to it. So then, eventually, businesses, to appease or accommodate these majority of dumbasses who accept all this stuff, will then force everybody else to not be able to conduct commerce anymore because they have all voluntarily waived all of their privacy. So, you know, you see how it works? Colorado sheriff, I won't enforce new gun laws. He calls them knee-jerk reactions and unenforceable. They passed these measures last week in Colorado, but two sheriffs are refusing to enforce them. They're feel-good knee-jerk reactions that are unenforceable, says the Weld County sheriff. So his issue is the $10 background checks won't keep crooks from obtaining firearms, he told the Greeley Tribune. Thousands line up outside California Exposition gun show to buy ammunition. There have been reports of certain ammunition just being completely gutted out and hard to find. Thousands of people lined up for hours outside this expo to buy ammunition. The line wrapped around the building for the first time in the two-day gun show. It's interesting because remember we were talking about that a couple of years ago about how they're not going to all-out ban guns. They're just going to make ammunition almost impossible to get. She has a protective order. He still has a gun. Ooh. New York Times takes a look at one aspect of the gun rights battle. Amid the talks of ammunition, magazines, and background checks, New York Times susses out a perhaps less obvious element of the gun control battle. Domestic abusers and firearms, as it explains, only a smattering of states require that those with protection orders against them give up their guns. So remember, it says here, this is going to go in line with if you have, if you fail a psychological profile, you won't be able to have a firearm too. And of course, that's going to be done through social workers in the state. And of course, if you're not a good slave, you don't fit that profile as a healthy person, a healthy slave. But it didn't require that he relinquish his guns after 12 hours after he was handed down. He confronted her at her home with a small semi-automatic rifle. She was able to secretly dial 911 on her cell phone and was aided by police. This is after the woman was able to obtain an order that barred her ex-husband from coming within 2 blocks of her. And of course, what they don't talk about with these shooters is that they're on what? They're on psychiatric drugs. Hardly ever covered. Was Connecticut shooter Adam Lanza on psychiatric drugs? Medical examiner snubs official request for toxicology report, while state and federal lawmakers frantically push for a massive mental health reform and sweeping gun control laws. 2 Connecticut mothers recently took to the streets of Newtown, connecting with local residents and gathering signatures on a petition that asks a simple but essential questions. Did prescription psychiatric drugs play a role in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting? Seems like an obvious question. Goes on here, it says it's escaped the consideration of legislators, despite the fact that under Connecticut law, Carver is statutorily required to respond to the request to date that, basically this petition by these activists had sent to them. The medical examiner has refused to even acknowledge the receipt of the request, let alone release the requested information. And I'm going to leave off here. Please join me in part 3. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.